Imagine the pressure to pay for your MBA is so crushing that your search history starts to include things like how to sell my own kidney. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a thriller, but this is a real-life story. And it's not really about one person's desperate choice. It's a symptom of a much, much larger problem that we need to talk about.
Yeah, this quote right here, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to uncover. It forces you to look past the single shocking act and see the whole rotten system behind it. This is a story about a world that doesn't just allow desperation to exist, but actually preys on it.
So, let's start with the person at the center of all this. Meet Ayush. He's a 23-year-old MBA student from Kanpur. And it's so important to remember, he's not just a name in a crime report. He's the human face of this entire mess, a young guy whose ambition backed him into an impossible corner.
And let's be absolutely clear about his motives here. Ayush wasn't out there looking to break the law. He was just desperately trying to find a way to stay in school. He went online looking for a financial lifeline, but what he found instead were predators who saw his vulnerability as an opportunity. It basically put a giant target on his back.
So how did a criminal racket even find him? Well, the entry point was a place we all go to every single day: social media. Anonymous contacts lurking in Telegram groups promising fast, easy cash. It's scary how quickly a simple messaging app can turn into a recruiting ground for the illegal organ trade.
Now, let's just break down how they reeled him in. It was a masterclass in manipulation. Step 1, you deal with their biggest fear head-on. The very first message he gets promises a safe process. It's such a simple lie, but it's incredibly powerful. It's designed to make him feel secure right from the very start.
Okay, step 2. You make the unthinkable sound, well, normal. People live with one kidney. A statement like that just reframes a major, life-altering surgery as something totally routine, almost casual. It's a classic tactic to lower someone's defenses.
And here's the final nail in the coffin, the knockout punch. They start dropping names of celebrities, trying to add this layer of glamour to it, to erase any fear that might be left. And just like that, in 3 short messages, they've completely repackaged a dangerous, illegal act into something that sounds safe, normal, and like a perfectly good financial decision.
So let's flip the script for a second. Let's talk about the people on the other end of this conversation. Because Ayush wasn't just dealing with some lone scammer. No, he had walked straight into a highly sophisticated criminal network. This was a well-oiled machine, built specifically to find and exploit people in his exact situation. And their method, it's just chillingly efficient. They were creating fake IDs for the donors, coaching them to lie and pretend they were related to the person getting the organ, all to get around the hospital ethics boards. And then they arranged the surgeries. I mean, that right there strongly suggests they had help from inside the medical system itself.
And now, let's do what you always have to do in these situations: follow the money. Because at its heart, that's all this is about: profit. This wasn't just a crime of opportunity. It was a massively lucrative business built entirely on the backs of desperate people.
This is the number they dangled in front of Ayush: 6 lakh rupees. You know, to a student who is just drowning in debt, that number must have seemed like a life-changing fortune. It's the bait, an amount just big enough to make an unimaginable risk seem worth it.
But, and this is the really infuriating part, here's what the racket was actually making. They sold that same kidney for 10 times what they paid the donor. Think about that. The person taking 100% of the physical risk gets a tiny, tiny fraction of the profit. That gap is the very definition of exploitation.
And after the money is gone, after the surgery is over, what's left? Well, it's the human cost. These were apparently Ayush's words from his hospital bed, and they just reveal this profound sense of shame and isolation that he was left with. Sure, his debt was gone, but it was replaced by something permanent and absolutely devastating.
You see, a story like Ayush's doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not just about one student or one criminal gang. His whole experience is a symptom of a much larger systemic failure. And it forces us to zoom out and ask some really, really difficult questions about the systems that allowed this to happen in the first place.
So first off, we have to talk about education. What does it say about the cost of getting a degree when a student feels that selling an actual organ is a viable financial plan? This kind of pressure is basically creating a whole generation of people who are perfect targets.
Second, you have to ask about oversight. How does a network this sophisticated, needing fake documents, access to hospitals, and probably corrupt insiders, how does it operate completely under the radar?
It points to some serious gaps in law enforcement and in medical regulation.
And third, you have to look at the platforms themselves, right? These illegal deals are being set up in plain sight on social media. So what is the responsibility of these big tech companies to stop their platforms from becoming digital black markets?
And this really gets to the heart of it all. In the world we live in now, every desperate Google search for quick loans or fast cash is like sending up a flare. It's a signal of vulnerability. And Ayusha's story is proof that whenever that vulnerability becomes visible online, predators are already there, waiting to pounce.
So that brings us to our final question. The blame here doesn't just stop with the criminals who got caught. It extends to the education system that's creating the debt, the regulators who are failing to stop the crime, and the tech platforms that are providing the marketplace. When a person's vulnerability becomes a commodity, who is ultimately responsible?